What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Game Junction Podcast here for episode 127 this week. How's it going, Mark?
It's doing fantastic. 127. You heard it here first, folks. Your best place for news, video games, commentary, and just bat crazy stuff. I'm trying to censor myself a little bit there. Gotta have that energy right to go, man. You gotta go bam, bam, bam. We're the best. Number one. Game Junction. Let's go. Friday, baby.
Dang,
Pumped.
man.
Hopefully everyone else is
Yeah,
pumped
it's
too.
Friday. Yeah, he's real pumped this week. Dang. I'm here for it. All right, we got a bunch of notifications, so we should be live for everyone. But yeah, I guess we'll just go ahead and kind of get started here. You're white again. This is what we dealt with last week.
No,
On the
I
audio,
know it's an issue that I gotta fix, and it's just easier to open up OBS.
Okay.
And fix it, so
Gotcha. All right, I'll let him fix it.
You're good. You're good to keep going.
Okay. All right, so we got Star Wars Outlaws for Switch 2 launches September 4th. We also got DLC that was announced, A Pirate's Fortune. And I think that this was announced because if I'm not mistaken, Star Wars Celebration is going on right now. I think I saw. Could be wrong. I'm out of the loop for Star Wars here as of late. But yeah, I think that's what's going on now. So it will launch for currently available platforms on May 15th. And then obviously it'll be launching on Switch 2 as well. So it's team up with legendary pirate Hondo Oyanaka and face off against Stinger, Tash, and her Rokana Raiders as they infiltrate the Kepi tomb to uncover the secrets and hidden treasures it holds. So yeah, currently available PS5, Series X, PC, Steam, all that stuff. So I have no interest in the game personally, but I won't be picking up on Switch 2. But for those that are interested, it's there. And we also got confirmation about one single game right now that we know about that is a Switch 2 cartridge that will also work on the Switch 1, which is kind of crazy. And that is Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, which is one of the games I pre-ordered for the Switch ahead of time. There's like 2 on Amazon. You can pre-order that and Daemon X Machina, Daemon X, the second game. So I pre-ordered both of those so I made sure I had Switch 2 games and was ready to go. But 64 gigabyte game card automatically loads the correct version based on the system it is inserted into. So Switch 2 edition includes the upgrade pack on the game card, meaning no additional downloads are needed. And we got Mark back in here. What's up, Mark?
Pretty good. I'll try to fix it. Should be a quick hop out, hop back in, and then I had to relog back in.
Oh, shoot. I was wondering where you went. I was just riffing here. We're talking about this Rune Factory Gardens of Azuma Switch 2 cartridge will be the one game that we know about, period, that'll work on the Switch 1. So it's kind of wild. The red cartridge there working on the Switch 1, but it's a 64 gigabyte game card, so I assume that's why it works. Kind of neat, I guess. I mean, what this is charged as a Switch 2 game, though. Let me tell you, because I pre-ordered this on Amazon. It's a $70 game, bro. Yeah. I'm still getting used to that, like, oh, this is a new standard type deal. When $70 kind of has been the standard, but you see the Switch logo, you just don't instantly think $70. But it's just there. That's how it's going to be for this next gen. So all games like that launch are going to be at least $70, I assume. You think that's going to be the gold standard there?
I mean, it kind of already is at this point. It has been for like a year or two.
You checking out WrestleMew, Mr. Coffee said? Like WrestleMania? Or I'm not sure what that is. So hopefully you see more games like that. Yeah, sure. You know what WrestleMew is?
I have no idea. Let me Google it real quick.
Okay, it might be like a new game or something.
The only thing that pops up is WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. But we also got Pocket Pair presents strong defense against Nintendo's Power World lawsuit. So Pocket Pair, responded to this, and it said, in regards to claims relating to patent JP 7545191, which describes a system for capturing creatures and releasing creatures into battle, Pocket Pair argued that none of its elements were new at the time of its late 2020 filing. The company used its prior game, Craftopia, to illustrate this claim, arguing that while it doesn't do everything Nintendo's patent describes, it could easily be combined with features from other existing games derived at the same result. The company also cited Titanfall 2, Far Cry 5, Tomb Raider, and Octopath Traveler, among other titles whose systems overlap with the patent there. So Nintendo has pretty much no grounds to stand on with this, if you ask me, because with the first Dragon Quest Monsters game, which was a direct ripoff.
I think it's the
Pokemon
fact
was a
that
direct ripoff. I mean, some of the Pokemon designs are identical to the Dragon Quest Monsters design. It's crazy how close those games are.
this feels more like it looks too much like Pokemon with guns. That's kind of how it was marketed, and Game Freak just didn't like that. And so they're just taking this opportunity to like go after them for whatever they could. But I just don't think this is probably really going to go anywhere. Or even if they were to win, it's like, all right, well, here's some finance. You won some money. That's about it.
Which I don't think Game Freak probably needs, right?
Now, with how little money they put into their games and how much money those games make them,
How little money they put into
on top of just that, not all the merchandising, because what Game Freak and stuff like that, like the video games is only about like what 10 to 12% of their like revenue.
Oh yeah, man,
which is a lot of money. That's billions of dollars right there, but it's like a small subset of everything else from the games to just all kinds of merchandising and stuff like that and cards. They've definitely diversified where they make their money from. So
yeah, for sure, 100%.
Just more reason to be like, oh, if they're about to hit like $100 billion, all your games still look like crap. You have all this money, like you have the money. Like this is,
and it's like not even everything. Arceus, I thought stood out pretty good and looked good visually. I thought it was a pretty good game, but it's like the same year you get Scarlet and Violet, and it's like the comparison there. It's like
you could tell which one got more love, and it was definitely not Scarlet and Violet. And Scarlet and Violet still had issues, but it wasn't as consistently bad. And they obviously took steps to minimize it by not having this giant open world trying to render so much crap at once.
Yeah, that was the problem. I mean, you mentioned it before the podcast. We were talking Pokemon, and it's like maybe they were a bit too ambitious with the size of the map and how much they're actually.
I mean, I think the map at times is just
terrain versus Pokemon. How many Pokemon do you actually see in the wild versus
not a whole lot? I think they say on average, because I was looking at some people who were talking about like shiny hunting on some videos, and like what on average you get about 14 Pokemon on screen, and if you have 15 to 16. But usually, if you have that many, that means one of them is usually a shiny or something like that, or that's the odds are higher for like a shiny. So you don't have that many Pokemon on screen. But then again, there's depending on like where you're at in the map and stuff like that, the frame rate just slows down to like 15, and you don't notice it.
The more it chugs.
Yeah, but it's where the frame rate slows down. But instead of like it looking bad, it just the whole game slows down when it goes down to that. So they keep it a smooth experience, but you can tell it's like your frames are dropping because the game just plays bad.
You say a smooth experience. In the week that I got the game, I fell through the entire world of the game. I still have a video of it.
I remember that.
You remember? Okay.
Yeah.
I still have the video clip of it. It's funny. I got it saved on my computer, on my phone, so I never forget that. But the week it freaking came out, man, I fell through the whole world of the game. It was like, I mean, there's salt water under here, dog.
Yeah. They still have the issues with, obviously, the two DLC areas are nowhere near as big. But they still have those performances. Like they're better, but the performance is still there.
Sorry, I say they're better, as in I think they're better than the base game is, like story wise, gameplay wise. I think they're fun,
mechanically. Like there's a lot that I like. Like it's one of those things where it's like I like that both DLCs run together, even though I think the second DLC is far more shallow than the first one. There's more to do, but the story's far more. It's very obviously a continuation, and it's the story in the first DLC is far more in depth and more intriguing than the second DLC, if you ask me at large.
Because one of the problems with the story of Scarlet and Violet, like I said, I've enjoyed the games, but also it's one of those few games where like I dropped it right at the end of the game because I think like Tears of the Kingdom came out or something. I can't remember what came out, but
other stuff to play.
Yeah, there was other stuff that came out and it just got in the way. And it's like I love Pokemon, but I was not super engaged to like pick it back up until this year, where I finally finished off the story and stuff, got through the DLC and everything. But it's one of those things where the games they got problems. The story's like it's okay when you talk about Pokemon.
I mean, it's like three
I don't
separate
dog them as
stories.
much as some people do, but at the same time, it's like they got freaking issues, man.
Like the mainline story, the only thing that was interesting is like the Paldean crater. Everything else is just kind of bad because it's you're dealing with the Pokemon that you ride for the box art legendary, and that was clearly very obviously designed as a way to get around the map quicker. That's really the only reason I think that Pokemon exists.
One of the other things is like, why are you well, I guess they did it with Gen 1, obviously, with red, blue, yellow, but it's like we haven't since then had a Pokemon on the front cover of the game where you just like, it's very accessible right away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even
But it's
with Gen 1, you had to like grind to get to that. But let me just give you the Pokemon that's on the box art right away.
I mean, you can't use it in battle. You have to catch the box art at the end of like the main story to actually use it. But like it's very obviously there as just a way to get around the map because the map's so
just
big.
way it's reverse. Yeah,
It's a way. It's
a big map.
It just helps you get around the map better. The only one thing I hate is if once you complete the second DLC, you can finally essentially fly indefinitely. I'm like, oh, this is great if either A, you know about this beforehand, or if it was you got access to this earlier. Because like if you're like
why couldn't I do this the first 70 hours of my playthrough?
If you did like all in the base game, especially like a lot of the Pokemon catching in the first base game, by the time you get this Infinite Fly, like it's only helpful in that DLC area because you've done everything else in every other section. So you go back to the main map, you're like, this is great, but like I've done everything in this map. This doesn't really help me at this point.
It's pretty wild. I don't quite understand it, but
like I'm glad it's there, but it's just like, oh, this is like you get it so late in the game that it's like it's almost not as helpful as you would think, unless you're just one of those people that you picked it up later or you just like roaming around the map with terrible frame rates. But I mean, that's just me.
Yeah,
like that's I have issues with the game. Like I don't mind the open world aspects of it. I think the world should be designed a lot better. I think it's just too big. I don't like the it's a circle. I'm like that's kind of I think it's lazy map design personally, but I like a lot of the concept. I think the execution's terrible, and I think it's the issue they've had for a while. Their storytelling has just been kind of downhill since Gen 5. Like because you look back at it, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4, up until Gen 5. It got better. It got more complex with the storytelling, what they're trying to do. And this one's like, oh, I was bullied. Now you have to go around, battle them, and we're all good again. It's just like there's no real true villain in these games. You start to see it in Sword and Shield.
Yeah,
that game has issues with its main villain as well. But
the one thing I will say about Scarlet and Violet is it felt like the most childish game I played.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
with how they treat the player. School and like how they treat the player and the story. Like it just feels very childish to me.
Especially compared to like other games where it's like, it's gotta be more accessible to kids. I'm like, we were playing these other games that were far more either difficult or the story was you just didn't understand the story when you were younger. Right. But I still think it's just a better game. It's not like it's not bad. It's just I don't know. It just felt like they were just
storytelling was better in Red and Blue than it was in Scarlet and Violet,
which is like almost non-existent.
Like I'm being serious too. I'm not joking. But I do
really
think it was better in Red and Blue than it is in Scarlet.
I think the story is really lazy, or I think it's more boring. It's a mixture of lazy and boring. But on top of it, they talk for there's so much dialogue when nothing's really being said. You're like, oh, I get it, and you can't skip it like on a second playthrough.
Nothing important ever. You know what I mean? It's like in Red, Blue, Yellow, whatever, Gold, Silver, Crystal.
Only amount of
to read the dialogue, like it was interesting. It was dialogue was more riffing and it's fun.
Yeah. The only time the story gets a little bit intriguing is post the Elite Four.
Yeah,
it's all post game. The story gets any kind of interesting at all, and even then, it's like very bare and it doesn't really go all that deep. And I just didn't. I think the map design could be a lot more.
I mean, Arceus, like the story was a lot more grabbed me a lot more. I mean,
well, there's an actual story. There was actual villain and there's stuff going on and stuff to do with this one. It's just kind of like, oh, you just go around like they treat you like you're in a school and you
put Arceus down. If that makes sense. Scarlet and Violet is like it's very rare that like a Pokemon game, a mainline Pokemon game, just kind of dropped for that many years.
And this is like where I brought it up
4 years later.
because I know I get pushback, but it's like I like the open world 3DS with the Legends games because I think we'll see with this one, but like with Arceus, I think it's well more designed. But like I wouldn't be opposed to a more HD 2D art style for these mainline games. I think it would
Those
still
games
work
are
just
beautiful.
fine. I don't think you need this. It's hard because a lot of people would see this as a step backwards in some areas you could, but I just think those games just played a lot better. Or even a map design. I didn't really. There's a whole issues with the Let's Go games, but you could take a quasi design like that. You could still make the map obviously bigger, and you could do like make it a 3D world if you really wanted to, but make it far more linear to some degree and stuff like
Yeah, I
that.
get what
And
you're
fix a lot of
saying.
issues, though. I would still prefer the more pixel art style of the DS and the 3DS for a lot of
Having
their
like the
games.
sprites and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I certainly
Especially
would
if we're just going to
propose
get this quality
a game like
3D
that for
game
sure.
forward.
Because it's like if I have the option of getting another game like Scarlet and Violet or getting a game like you're talking about, like an HD 2D type deal, for sure I'm going to go the HD 2D route. Because I mean, I think
what we
Pokemon works
to be
fine
fair.
like that. I mean, we played Pokemon for so many years that way. It's perfectly fine. Like it's not a broken system. If it's not broke, don't fix it type deal. But then having the side game like an Arceus or Legends ZA, like I totally get that. Legends ZA,
Or at the
I'm ride for. I'm really
at
excited
the
about it.
very very least, start giving us those old games. Either just remaster the originals and the remakes you already did. Give
Bro,
us
put
the
them
access to
all
the
in a
games,
cart and sell them to
or
us.
just remake them in that HD 2D style. But I
They can do
ideally
that.
want to use the remake versions because I think for every most if not every generation, the remakes are like the way to go for those games. The story's better, and there's always
Yeah.
because you got
The
the lead
one
dream
gen
from
I have the
Red.
problem with, like, I love Soul Silver, Hardcore, they're amazing, amazing remakes. The one problem with that is I still go back to Crystal and I still love that game so much. Like, I think it's
I don't
still
think a part of that's nostalgia, but like give people
part
access
of
to
that
those
is,
games
yeah.
to both games, like you did on the DS and the 3DS. You had access to all those games.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
they
it's you
should.
have the port, like the engine they used to port, like for the Game Boy and stuff, like the Game Boy Advance, like
Mhm.
a little bit more for the DS, but like the emulator essentially is already done. You just need to bring the games over, work on the
Right.
emulator, and then obviously they're going to do different stuff. They don't want save states, but that's probably a fairly easy thing for them to do.
Oh, I mean, you could fit every one of those games 1 through Gen 4 all in one game cart. I mean,
Yeah.
realistically, and that's just truth.
Because, like, let's be
But
fair, the mainline games will always sell more. It's not like that you're going to sell 30 million copies of those games combined. I don't.
yeah.
Maybe combined you would, and several volumes, but like they would sell well enough to probably make up for whatever cost you put into them. But it's more of just like there are people that just want to play those games. Like, let's be fair, plenty of people don't like going back and play old
Bro,
games.
those
Not
games
everyone's going
would sell
to
like
take it away.
hotcakes. If they put those games on a Switch cart, Switch 2 cart, and sold it, they would. I'm telling you, those games would sell like freaking hotcakes. They'd be huge, man. I
And
think
to be
it'd be gigantic.
the amount of money they have to put into porting these is realistically negligible because people just want to play those games as they are just on the Switch. And
Yeah.
people already do because they crack their Switch and they emulate them on there.
Mhm.
Not that hard. It's just you get the feeling like, oh, it's going to take away from these other games. Like your new games are going to sell just fine.
Yeah, it's not gonna take
If they
away.
stop selling
Different
well, it's
experience.
because you've made a bunch of bad
It's
games.
gonna sell for the hardcore, it's gonna sell for the people that wanna go back and play them that don't have a way to play those games, that
And
don't
let's be
have
fair,
Game
like
Boys, don't have DSs, you know?
a lot of people that play the games are under the age of 18. A lot of kids will play them. It'll be their first
Yeah.
game, so they're always going to sell well. The only like legit thing I've heard people talk about is like, oh, it'll show how bad your new games are compared to like what you used to put out, especially like with the story and post game content and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because people still talk about Emerald as probably having one of the best post games with the the Battle Tower,
Yeah, the Battle Tower. Yep.
which is like probably one of people say that's one of the best games. So I think of the
It's
Oris
a really
games
good
are
post
really
game.
good remakes, but
There. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know what else to add to it. It's like, just give us the games, give access to the games, legal access. It's like people want to buy these games, they'll rebuy them. You could sell them digitally, even if you
package them for $80. People still pay for them.
people still pay for them at $80. You sell them individually for $10. I don't know.
Don't
You
want to
can
price
do
like
the
that, by the way, but
Yeah, we don't, but it'll happen if it's a If they put on a card, it's gonna be 70 anyway. That's the new base standard.
Yeah.
It'll be at least 70, might be 80. Tariffs might bump it up a little bit, might be 90.
It's free money at this point. It's really all it is.
It really is. It's
You
not
have to
hard
put very
put on
little
there.
work into it.
They emulated the Wii on the Switch 1 for the Nintendo Museum. It's like, bro, you know how to do this. You're all the games you're adding on NSO. That's all emulation, bro. You know how to do this. What are you doing?
Do it.
Just put it on there. Put it on. I mean, I'd prefer it not to go to NSO and rather buy it, so I actually, own it.
Yeah, but let's be fair. Nintendo wants to bring these games at least to the NSO. If
Do
not
they?
in other
Why
ways,
is it not already on NSO?
Because Nintendo only owns a third of the company. They're only the only 30%. It's
Game Freak,
and then Creatures Inc.
Creatures Inc.
Game Freak, Creatures Inc. and Nintendo essentially own a third of the share of the company.
Who's stopping this then? Who do you think is preventing this?
At least one of those
Nintendo, three. Which one do you think though? If you had to guess,
I think Nintendo is in the most favor of wanting to come to NSO or bring those games back because they know it brings in more money for them.
Oh, bro, that would bring in so much to NSO. So many people would subscribe.
It's either Game Freak, Creatures, or both that are against it. Because some tells me
it's Game Freak.
Some tells me they probably need a consensus to get anything done. So you have three separate entities that have to come in and agree, which means it's hard to get anything done.
Yeah, for sure. Mr. Coffee said, I think they think about more licensing of the games. Yeah. I mean, it's a tough one with those, hopefully something happens though this gen, man. Cause it's like, what are you doing? You're sitting on money.
At this point, the hope is that eventually they'll start doing something that gives people hope they'll start, doing more stuff, but it's hard to
I guess
tell.
We'll see. It is hard to tell for sure. But next we got Dragon Ball Sparking Zero Daima DLC Part 1 leak reveals release date and characters. So DLC reportedly launch on April 24th. Players can expect to see characters from Daima, including Vegeta Mini, Majin Buu, and Pansy. So that's pretty cool. I know you're excited about that, aren't you?
I still need to go back and actually finish the anime.
Come on, man.
Though I already know how it goes. That's the problem because I'm on social media.
Get off the socials, man.
It's hard.
Yeah, look at these. It's pretty cool looking. The game is beautiful, so I mean, I expect these.
Yeah, really, it's just a lot more content in general.
It really looks like an anime, which is crazy.
I mean, to be fair, it's not that work. It's essentially they have to put more skins in the game. So
yeah, it's cool. We're getting diamond stuff though. Here for it.
The question is how OP are they going to be?
Oh, they're going to be super OP. Majin Buu, come on, man. He's the most OP of all the characters in the entire series.
So OP that he didn't last more than 2 episodes.
Yeah. I mean, he lasted long, but he didn't do nothing.
Exactly. Inconsequential to the plot.
Yeah, he's not important.
Oh, then he's more like
there.
He's there for lore reasons. That's about it.
It's kind of like Majin Buu, after the Buu saga. It's like
to be fair, but he's there just to explain where Buu comes from. That's all he really does is expand on Buu's backstory. Boo's lore. That's really all it does.
Pretty much, yeah. It's funny. But all right, next we got Indiana Jones: The Great Circle sequel is teased by Microsoft. So I'm pretty much expected this to happen. Game was very successful. It's a really good game. I freaking loved it. So Microsoft CEO hints at potential Indiana Jones sequel after positive reception of The Great Circle. It marks a pivotal moment for the Indiana Jones franchise, the modern technology, initial DLC expansion for a Great Circle game, and positive feedback paved the way for more future indie adventures. We were pretty skeptical of this. I think we were pretty, we don't know because the recent movies, the last 2 movies were pretty bad.
Yeah.
And so we weren't sure what was going to happen with the franchise. I mean, I felt like I was pretty open for it since it was a video game. It was a different medium, but we've also gotten kind of bad indie games in the past. So there's a couple good ones too, but yeah.
For the longest time, it's one of those, if you had any kind of movie or TV game, they were always just bad.
Yeah, I think this really kind of broke a curse with that a little bit because it was really good. I was shocked at how good this game was. So it's super cool.
I mean, if it's a curse that's still kind of ongoing. When you look at the any of the last Airbender games are still bad.
Oh yeah, those are pretty rough. Those ones are definitely rough, but yeah, it's good news on the Indiana Jones front there. Definitely excited to see another game come out. Also got I know Mark's really excited about this one. I put this in here just for him. We got the Marvel swimsuit special is coming to Marvel Rivals. And Mark, I sent this to Mark earlier today. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm buying every one of those skins." They know what they're doing here. They know what they're doing here. They know their audience, right? Am I an idiot? They know what they're doing.
They just know what doesn't sell. You do the opposite of that, and it's going to sell.
They're like, let's look at this stuff. All right, let's go the other way. Let's go the exact opposite of what they're doing. But no, I mean, swimsuit specials were a thing with comic books. So, Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. Yeah, look at that right there, swimsuit special. Friends, foes, and rivals. But
they got some of the different designs for the different characters and stuff. So
what is that from? Is that an actual?
These are like actual art. I think this is all like promotional art because it's got the Marvel Rivals swimsuit stuff. These were on a discussion film who posted these, but they're all tagged with the actual swimsuit special. So I'm pretty sure these are all the mock-up that they have. They've had done for the event.
Look at Spider-Man. Go back. Look at Spider-Man. I just realized that was Spider-Man.
And which one?
The second one.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even realize that was him. I was like,
oh my god, the amount of jokes you can make with this web shooter.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. That's why I said go back.
All right, Brandon needs to get his mind out of the gutter.
Yeah, but no, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, I like Marvel Rivals a lot. I think you kind of liked it too. It was a lot better than we thought it was going to be. We crapped on.
It's still consistently a popular game.
That's very popular. Yeah, see a lot of people post about it all the time.
I was about to say, like, it's so popular. It's still number 3 on Steam charts.
I still want to stream it again. I had a lot of fun with it. It was a lot better than we thought it was going to be because we thought it was going to be a total disaster.
Yeah, right.
Definitely not always right, you know.
I mean, why is
RuneScape on the charts?
RuneScape?
I just saw RuneScape. Yeah, I saw the name.
Oh, RuneScape, Dragon Wilds. It's a trending game right now. It's in early access.
What the heck is that? Does it look good?
I don't know. It looks like a fully 3D RuneScape game.
No way. Is it called Dragon Wilds? Never thought they'd do anything else with the franchise.
Click to view some screens. Like there's some of the screenshots they had.
Whoa. What?
Like it's an actual 3D world, but I don't know if it's like anything to do with the old game or it's like a single player game.
Bro, I'm gonna check this out. Pretty nostalgic for RuneScape.
Is there anything on?
So is it doing good then? I take it.
It's 40,000 players. It's early access. It released on the 15th.
Oh, okay.
Early access multiplayer survival open world. On RuneScape's forgotten continent of Ashenfall, dragons have awoken. Gather, build, skill, and craft to survive in this cooperative 1-4 survival crafting game. Only by mastering survival and uncovering ancient secrets can they hope to slay the Dragon Queen. So it's like it's a cooperative survival open world game.
Bro,
so it's not like the MMO that it was, but yeah.
But it's still a multiplayer game.
It's co-op, but it's multiplayer.
Huh. Oh.
Like I think this actually has like more like actual gameplay.
That looks cool, man. Actually, I never thought Jagex would ever do anything with RuneScape.
Yeah, it's sitting with very positive with over 7,000 reviews at an 84%. So the people do like it.
Not bad, yeah.
It definitely looks like a spin-off game. God knows how long it's going to be in early access for, but
Mr. Coffee said very good. Check it out. I was watching Twitch as they cross play it for like 8 hours. Oh, that's good to know. I mean, we might add it on to our. How much is it?
It's an early access, so it's $30.
Oh, it's cost of money. Rip off artists with this early access stuff. This ever going to go away? This paid early access? Probably not, right?
No, never will.
Enough people do it. It's a PC thing, man.
It's more like
there's been a lot of games on PC that I've been.
So you can play the game while it's in essentially it's in either like an alpha or usually like a beta stage and stuff like that, so they can continue to mod. You usually see it for smaller
years.
You usually see this for smaller studios, so they can monetize a game while they finish the last amount of it before it actually gets published.
I think Jagex is a multi-million-dollar studio, though.
I mean, not everybody does it, but it started off as smaller studios.
Yeah.
Jagex has worked.
I don't know what they're,
They've worked on, obviously, RuneScape Wilds. They've worked on Scum, RuneScape DLC, RuneScape Old School DLC, Melvor Idol, and then the Means Warp are some of the stuff they've worked on.
I didn't even know they did anything but RuneScape, so that's good to know. Interesting.
I don't know. It's just listed as like RuneScape DLC they've worked on. They may have actually worked on actual RuneScape itself.
What's the game we have to stream tomorrow? What's it called again?
I don't even know what we're streaming tomorrow, to be honest.
We talked about it last week.
Yeah, we did. I forgot.
I forget what it's called. We're supposed to buy it. That's why I should have bought it right away. I forget the all hyper realistic FPS game. We're supposed to buy it. What's that called?
I think it's on my. I think I wishlisted it so I wouldn't forget.
I didn't. So yeah, hopefully you did. But
did I put it in the cart? No, I didn't. There's nothing in my cart. Is there?
Yeah, we're bad, man. We're bad about this stuff. I have bad memory, man.
Oh, it says unavailable. It is body cam, I think is what we were talking about.
Yeah, body cam. That's what it is. All right, I'm gonna just. I
was like, I know. I put on my wish list so I wouldn't forget it. But
yeah.
I had to actually pull up my Steam so I could look at it.
Yeah. All right. So I'll purchase that while we're doing this. But next thing we got is new official life-size Pokemon Plus. This is a Gen 1 favorite. All right. It's not Gardevoir.
Obviously, everyone was like mad over the Gardevoir one.
I'm mad that I didn't get it, bro. But it's kind of like
it was like $800.
Like, when I have women over, where am I going to put it?
It was stupid expensive.
It is. It was like $350, bro.
It was a lot of money.
Sold out, and it's like $500-$600 on eBay now.
Yeah, but this one is a EV one. Obviously, it's hard to tell the actual life size from some of these images, but the other ones are just from games and stuff like that. But it's supposed to be a life. I don't know how big life size is for an EV. They assume it's smaller than Gardevoir because at least from the in-game choices, Gardevoir is like actually like human size. EV's probably the size of like a small dog, essentially.
Yeah.
Small to like medium-sized dog.
I expect it to be like, you can still hold it type deal. It's small enough that
like the size like a torso or something like that.
Whatever EV, I guess you look it up on the Pokedex, whatever it says, standard EV is. That's what it's supposed to be, but that's a whole concept anyway. But yeah, that's pretty cool. People love EV.
That obviously was successful enough, and then they're gonna go towards their more popular Pokemon as they do these. So
yeah, EV like. For some reason got really popular. I think it was like what Let's Go kind of did it, right? Because they made Let's Go Eevee, and it just seemed like Eevee got really popular itself. It used to be like all the evolutions are popular, and now Eevee's popular.
Okay, so they did some other ones. So the Gardevoir cost $319. They did one for Porygon that cost $390, and one for Psyduck that cost $288. This one is supposed to cost, they say, roughly $27. So I can't imagine it's all that.
$27.
That's what the article that you pulled up was saying
for a life-size Eevee. 27. Bro,
not
I
that
played
big of an
more
Eevee.
more Build-A-Bear for an Eevee with my daughter.
They say Eevee will roughly cost
like
38.50 yen or roughly 27 USD at the time of publication.
That's wild.
Which means life size is it's not that big.
Yeah,
not much bigger than probably what they already make for them.
Interesting,
because you can get a lot of plushies that are like the size of what you'd think like a stuffed animal would be essentially.
Yeah. Huh. That's a heck of a lot different than $350. So
it's more affordable.
We got Discord starts rolling out controversial age verification feature.
I'm sorry, you can't. I'm like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be. A lot of people lose their minds because it's supposed to be like a way to combat like grooming and other stuff that's happened on Discord and stuff like that. So essentially, you'd have to like verify who you are. I don't know if it was necessarily with the ID, but like a face recognition and some other stuff.
So what's the downside to what are people upset about? Is it just the weirdos that are upset?
Using you have to show ID to use to like register the app. So the idea is they're testing it in some regions that you may need to use your face or submit a ID to access certain Discords that are like restricted. So like Discord is like 18 plus. you'll have to like use your ID to prove who
Yeah,
you to prove your
and
age to access certain stuff. I mean, to be fair, some people are always going to be upset, but like if you're trying to combat like certain things that like kids, like say kids should be accessing stuff that they should have access to.
it's
Well, what's the only? It's like the only way to combat that is to like to aid. It's the same thing where people are upset where it's like, oh, you have to have an ID. You have to like show your ID to get on Cornhub, essentially, because people really love corn. But it's the
yeah,
same thing. It's like, oh, I don't want to have to show my ID. I'm like, yeah, but like, if you,
bro.
it's either that or literally anybody can access this site. It's like, are you 18? Click yes. It's an obvious line, and you're in. Like, there's no
Yeah,
actual like barrier to
it's
entry.
kind
So
of
like,
needed if this weirdo
it's the
stuff is
same thing.
happening. Isn't that kind of needed though? I mean, to
I think
me,
it
I
is
mean, like I think
with
about
the.
that parent. It's like if
We didn't used to
weirdo
have
stuff's
it.
happening, then
And I'll give some credence because I can see where people don't like having access, but like is the more you go online, I'm like, you have a phone that has all your access. A lot of people put their credit cards on your phone. Like you're people know who you are. Your information's out there. You have to like
your
create
info's out there.
logins for everything. But like the more you get online, and we didn't have that when I was a kid. I'm like, first of all, the internet was still in its infancy to its teenage
Yeah,
years, especially when we were
it
in high
needed
school.
to
And second
be
of
the
all,
way
like
it was.
how much jacked up stuff did you have access to as a kid that you probably shouldn't have seen?
Oh,
And it like
rotten.com,
it, to
do
be
you
fair,
remember
it
that
probably messed some
website?
people up.
Oh, brutal. Oh my god, that
Like
website was
let's
brutal. I
just like
should have never been
like
allowed to
live
see that
leaks.
website.
A lot
Oh yeah, Live Leaks.
100%
There's
that
somewhere.
website messed a lot of kids up.
But you know what's crazy? All that stuff that I saw, all that type of stuff, that's just on Instagram now. That's just there. So it's like,
Yeah, but like let's be fair. The more this goes on, the more governments start legislating some of this stuff, and these companies have to move forward. Or they're trying to get ahead of people coming after them legally.
yeah.
They're gonna start implementing some of this
Well, that's
stuff.
what this says. This says this is currently only being tested in UK and Australia in response to regulatory pressure.
But
So
yeah, let's be fair. Like, and it only takes like a handful of countries to be like it's easier
yeah,
for them to implement it worldwide than start
I
sectioning
mean
stuff
that
off.
what they did with the whole what was it? Was it the UK that made Apple switch to USB
No,
C?
it was the EU as a whole. Pretty much said
Oh
you
yeah,
have to use
yeah.
USB-C, and so instead of doing different iPhones, it's just easier to
Just to put it
essentially
across the
blanket
board.
everything. So the US doesn't need it because to comply with the EU, they don't want separate manufacturing lines for different products. It costs them
Yeah,
more money, so it's just cheaper to do stuff across the board. And maybe with one or two countries, it's one thing, but if this works and other countries start looking at stuff like this, it's just easier for them just to blanket implement stuff like this. But like let's be fair, the more that we're like connected, we're on the internet online, the more you're going to see stuff like this come out because well, people aren't going to like these companies aren't going to like self-report and self-police stuff to
yeah.
keep bad things from happening. So you're going to have regulatory pressure or regulations actually come down and force these changes. And I get why people complain, but like you have to have an ID to do literally anything. You have a GPS tracker in your pocket. Like let's be, the government can hack your phone. They've got access to all this stuff. Like they
Yeah,
know where you're at all times. If they don't, your ISP and Apple do and stuff like that,
they
or
know where you're. I
Android.
mean, look at like I don't know if you're into true crime at all, but like you look at some of these cases, and it always has to do with the phone. You know what I mean? If it's from like 2012 up or whatever, it's
Yeah,
always got something to do with the
because
tracking of
everyone's
the
got a
phone.
phone.
We tracked it here at this exact
Yeah,
time. Like we know
depending
where
on
you
like
were, what you were doing at this time, and it's
yeah,
like and that
depending on
was
where you're at, there
15
might
years.
be certain legal steps they have to, but usually they'll eventually get, a judge to say, sure, you can get access to the
Yeah,
information now. And then they
they
have
always
access
will.
to it and stuff like that. So it's like, I get these complaints were like more relevant like 20 years ago when this technology was new, but like
Yeah,
everyone, you know what's going on now, you know what's happening and you just bought into it. So like, this is just like the next logical step. It's the same thing
yeah.
with AI. Like you can fight about it for now, and it belongs in some areas, and it probably doesn't belong in other areas. But like it's coming, it's inevitable. It's just a matter of time at this point.
Something you
Before,
can't control. It's like a
yeah,
you know.
once the average consumer sees the more upsides than downsides, is when it's going to be universally adopted for
I mean, the
any
internet
industry.
needed to be very open in the beginning. It needed to for the development of the internet. It just
Yeah.
needed to be. It was different then too. It was different. You had to get on a computer. You didn't have it in your pocket all the time.
But like, let's be fair. Like, there's been a lot of regulatory laws have come out to where certain platforms have to monitor certain things, and sometimes there's different platforms that might have different ideological goals on what they do or how they moderate certain stuff.
Sure.
But so they can't just it can't be wide and open, because then they're open to potential lawsuits on different regions and how different countries regulate stuff and like that. So obviously it's not the same internet as back then, just because these companies probably couldn't allow it to be like that even if they wanted to. So it's the same thing with stuff like this. It's coming down. You're going to probably start seeing other stuff. If you want to play online and stuff like that for these platforms, you have to have an account and stuff like that. So you have to make an account. They have access to your IP address and stuff like that and stuff. So, and usually for a lot of these accounts, you have to have your actual name on file somewhere, even for credit cards and stuff. So they know who you are. It's not like this thing doesn't exist. It's just this ID is that next step. It's one of those, for better or for worse. It's kind of coming, and it's not a whole lot you can really fight against, for better or worse.
They're using that share ID as a commonly used service that these websites use to scan your ID digitally.
Probably they probably, a lot of them using a third party.
Yeah,
the only thing I think they should
Mr.
do.
Coffee's asking about what are they using basically to protect the information, stuff like that. This particular article doesn't tell me, so I can't.
From what I understand, from what they were kind of saying, is this is essentially for certain, because you have to if you have so many people on a Discord, you have to it's open, and it has to be rated. So if you're gonna have adult content on a Discord, it has to be labeled as 18 up, not safe for work. So stuff like that, they're going to use your ID to essentially say either yes, you're allowed to access this content, or no, you're not allowed to access this content. And if you're found violating those things for what you're posting on Discord, it's going to get shut down and stuff like that is what they're going to do. But it's a lot of these of I'm sure there's not people complaining, but there's also probably some behind the scenes legal issues they're starting to run into on what's being posted on Discord servers and stuff like that. So they kind of have to start taking these steps. So if something is, so they can essentially push the liability of what's being published on something else. But well, we did what we're supposed to do. They were the ones breaking the rules that were on our platform. So now legally we can wipe our hands of any issues and just kind of move on with our lives.
There's fair questions being asked about this. And I guess I see a little bit more why people are kind of, combating it a little bit. It says Discord notes that this is intended as a one-time process, but users who are misclassified, such as adults who may be mistakenly flagged as underage, can either retry the automatic process or request a manual review. Verification determines that a user is under the legal age to use Discord in their country. The account could be temporarily banned until the user appeals through Discord's underage appeals process. So,
and I mean, as laws come out, these things are going to change.
Might even you have to be 18 to even use it. So I didn't know I guess I should have known this, knowing the internet, but I didn't realize that there was that many problems with Discord.
To be fair, you could, if you followed any kind of controversy on the internet, you could. This is not a surprise, because this is coming for the internet as a whole. Eventually, let's be fair. Eventually, it's going to get to a point in 20 years.
Now that
your internet is going to be tied to an ID. That's just where it's going.
Yeah, I get why they're doing this, but I also get why people are combating it, and I understand. But I mean, it's weird stuff like that happening, man.
It's a balancing act, but
well, you gotta do something,
I agree, but it's because certain things happen. These platforms didn't take action where they could, so now you have the heavy hand of the government coming down, forcing you to do certain things.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Changes everything.
I don't like that, because I don't like the government putting in more restrictions, having their hand in more stuff. But
no, I'll say this. And I know you get some discriminatory pushback for any 18 up plus content. I don't disagree with the fact that you need to verify your 18.
Yeah, because you mentioned the other stuff earlier, and it's
it's unfortunate.
18 plus, you can just hit it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate it's come to this point, but that's probably one of the few things where I was this is where it should it needs to be, but it should stop here as well. It doesn't need to go past this, and then everything else, the platforms themselves should properly monitor what's going on. Or if they allow stuff to happen, then they should be, found liable. And
this is really funny. So I just beat early this morning. I've been playing it in early mornings when I get up before work. So I've been playing it for the last 2 weeks or whatever. I'll play it for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I finally beat it this morning. It's the most recent RoboCop game, and this was super relevant because you brought up like the AI stuff earlier, and it's just been like swirling around in my head. It brings in a good question about just kind of like the advancement of technology and everything that's kind of happening now. Like you can't stop the AI, but it's like people are trying to combat it. You can't really stop the regulation with the internet stuff either because like this stuff is happening. But it's like we also don't want more restrictions on the internet or the things that we're using and stuff like that. So it's like it's all this kind of gray area on what to do. You know,
Yeah,
like
it really
what do
is.
you do? And like per country is going to choose what they're going to do. And if this app is like, all right, we got five big countries here, let's just do this across the board. You got to roll with it, or you can't use it,
I
right?
mean,
So,
it's the same thing that you kind of see but permanently implemented with all these Sony games like on Steam and stuff like that. How certain countries just can't access games because they can't make a Sony account on PC essentially.
right, yeah,
It's one of those things where it's like enough if you have enough countries or enough big countries, like if the US came down with a regulation for some stuff, or just the EU did like with the phones.
yeah.
If a big enough market forces you to do something, it's just going to get blanket marketed because then it costs. It's less cost effective to make separate products. It's just financially makes more sense to do one across
Well,
the
let me
board.
bring up one other point that I guess it doesn't have anything to do with video games necessarily, but one other thing is it's like they try to block the weirdo stuff happening on Discord. They just move to another app. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but no, this is the problem though. Like, therefore, this change is being forced because of regulatory issues. That means if they do it, but another site doesn't, that site could either get completely banned, or they start running into legal
So this could
issues.
just be an issue like across the board, like any apps like this.
Well, this
Period.
was in response to essentially countries just even talking about the legislation, so they're trying to get ahead of it. So
This
if
is like
a
a.
regulation does come
I get
down,
you. I get
that's
you.
why
All
it's these countries specifically goes saying the UK and Australia are essentially either there's certain laws they're trying to get legally interpreted a certain way, or they're trying to put certain laws in place that essentially force this. Or else, if there's no pressure legally or from a government to do this, the company's not going to do it because it's more time and resources they have to put into something that they might see, advantageous. It's what, yeah, essentially where a lot of this comes down to is they're being forced by governments to make this change.
right. Well, I guess we'll have to kind of follow it and see what happens because I mean, it is an interesting topic. It is interesting to see,
But if this
like
works out the
where
way
this
they want it to, with like minimal pushback or something like that, or it works, then there's always a chance that they just may proactively just require this in any country where or in every country essentially, because we already have this in place, it works, and it's only a matter of time before enough countries kind of force us to do stuff like this anyway. So let's just get ahead of the issue now, so we can say, hey, we're being proactive. Maybe you don't need to put legal stuff on the books, so we can just kind of stay out of trouble and ideally maximize revenue, or we can start pulling stuff back, or whatever these countries are going to do. At the end of the day, Discord's a business, and they're going to do what best benefits them financially at the end of the day. So
Yeah. Yep. And then Dave brought up, said heads up because of Easter weekend, pretty busy at the house, but we'll try my best to get on the body cam tomorrow. All right. Yeah. We were just talking about that. So we're trying to remember what the game was, but yeah, I
yeah,
got it up on Steam to buy it after. So, all right. Next we got the Eternal Darkness Sanity System patent expires. This is interesting because, the Sanity System would it was so unique because Eternal Darkness, make you like kind of make the user hallucinate like during the game and stuff like that. Like weird stuff would happen where your game car it would say like your game crashed and stuff like that, or it was deleting your game data. So you like load back up the game. There's like no game data in there. Like some crazy
yeah.
stuff would happen to your game that like never happened to any games before. Um,
Yeah, essentially. So this means that essentially, because Nintendo was the copyright holder of Eternal Darkness and the Sanity Meter, so essentially means
yeah,
Nintendo no longer has sole possession of this copyright, which they probably didn't even bother to refresh. I don't know if they've
they're
even
not
bothered to
doing
use this
anything
before,
with it.
but
So
for any other games that want to potentially use this, it's now out there now. It's expired.
yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to see. Actually, it'd be really cool to see some third parties come out and not third parties, but other game companies come out and actually do something with the system. Since
Be nice to
nothing's
see
been
like an
done with
indie
Eternal
company,
Darkness, you know,
an indie come out and then try to use this now that it's like
kind of
free
recreate
use.
it in modern day. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be cool to see. It'd be cool to see that come back. It was really really unique for the time. Like it truly was a very unique whole system there. So it's
I mean,
pretty.
yeah, I think this will be ripe for the indie because it essentially works for any kind of like horror game. So
Yeah,
it would make sense that an indie game would take advantage of this first and foremost potentially. Because let's be fair, like this game was like over 20 years old. Came out in
yeah,
2002.
yeah. They've done nothing with it since. So you know,
No,
I
it's
would
just
love.
it's the style of game they kind of went away from for their first and second party developers.
Well, in other news, we got we talked about this a little bit before the podcast too, but Shuhei Yoshida comments on Nintendo Switch 2 welcome tour controversy, saying that it's a missed opportunity to let everyone check out what the console can do because it's obviously $10 and not sure how many people are going to buy it or
No,
if
but
anybody's going to buy it.
you think to be fair, like Sony doesn't do a whole lot of pack-in games either, so there's a little give and take there.
Well,
They
they
don't they,
did
they don't they don't
Astronaut
make
games. They did
they don't make
Astronaut
pack-in
for
quality games and then resell it at full price
no, they don't.
for
They
the
don't
most
do
part.
the reselling. I mean, like they've even updated Astrobot's Playroom. Um, or is that the one? Is that the one for PS5? Is that what the included game was? It Playroom or
I can't remember. I
I
can't
can't
remember which one it is
remember.
off the
Yeah,
top of my
because
head.
the PSVR 1 came with the I think it's Playroom for the PS5. I think, but yeah, I mean, like, and that game, that game was like for one really good, and it showed off all the features of the controller and the haptic feedbacks and the microphone in the controller and like what it could do, and it was actually good and goes through the history of PlayStation. So that's kind of why he's saying this because they offered that game free on PS5 and stuff, and it is pretty wild. This game costs $10, but it's Nintendo, so they did this
Nobody's
pre-tariffs.
nobody's buying this game.
Yeah, I
I'm gonna
kind of
sell it.
joked this.
It's
I
gonna
was
have
like,
like
"Oh,
maybe
I'll
it might have
buy it," but it's like
a few thousand
I don't
sales,
know.
most of which will be like streamers and content creators.
Yeah, it's no Wii Sports. I'll tell you that. Definitely no
No.
Wii Sports. It's unfortunate, man. Nintendo used to be pretty king at SNES era. Had all these different bundles. It came with packing games and Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country, and it's unfortunate. I miss the era of packing games, man. I do miss that. PS5 kind of had it. Series X didn't have it, but
Or even if you have packing games, just demos of your games on your console.
something, man. Yeah, something. Give us something. Give me Christmas. Starving over here for free content. We got Pokemon Masters EX reveals new events. I have actually never played this game.
I didn't know it
downloaded
existed until a few days
couple
ago.
times. Oh, I downloaded it several times, but I've never played it.
Essentially, they're having a Morty and Hisuian Typhlosion and Marn and Sizlar into the game, running from April 15th to like whenever.
I always thought it looked like semi-interesting, but it's the concept of it being stuck on a phone that I had the problem with the most.
It's a mobile game.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate it gets stuck on mobile because it's been around for like 7 years or something. 7-8 years.
Yeah,
It's still an old game.
It came out in 2019, August 2019.
Oh, okay, so it's been around like 6 years. All right, close. But yeah, it's been around a while.
Yeah, surprisingly and stuff like that. But it's
Must
like
have
a lot
very
of other mobile games just aren't that good that I think of.
I mean, the only thing I play every day is Pokemon TCG Pocket.
You just rip packs and that's about it.
Yeah.
It's a game you can play for like 10 minutes or
You
like
get this quick
2
gotcha
hours.
game that you can just try to
Yeah.
collect stuff on. But all right, I guess moving into some bigger news since we already did.
Do you want to do some pickups real quick or?
Oh yeah, let's do pickups.
We didn't do it at the beginning.
Yours. I got 2 other things to
Yeah.
grab over here.
So I'll show the one thing that I actually picked up at GameStop today because the other 2 things came in the mail earlier this week. It cost me all of $8. Earth Defense Force 2017 because we were just playing the 4.1 and stuff like that. Surprisingly, the disc wasn't too scratched. Still got the booklet inside. It's over like $8 for an old 360 game. Yep, why not? Trying to get into Earth Defense Force to some degree, so it wasn't the worst pickup in the world. And then the other 2 were 2 games that I had ordered and finally came in the mail, complete in box with everything included. But both this week, Pokemon Black and Pokemon White came in the mail. And the fact is they still have all their booklets and stuff like that is always great to see. The Wi-Fi Connect, like this one still has like some Pokemon Mythical Vinciti, or however you say his name. You know how you're supposed to access like stuff that doesn't work anymore. I'm pretty sure in these games, but like, oh, this is how you access this Pokemon or something like that.
Sick.
Yeah, the whole, if you want, like, I think we've talked about it before, the whole Blast from the Past, the Nintendo Club stuff for Black and White.
Yeah, Club Nintendo was legit, man.
Talk about an end of an era.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that they still have access to these, and I do miss the era for these games where you still had the whole colored little booklet that's, you know, very beefy.
Yeah, read it on the way back home.
So you rip it open from the store and stuff like that.
It's like, let's read the back of it.
Slowly adding to my collection of physical games, and I now have at least every generation. I think I'm still missing Black 2, but essentially finally have that Gen 5, because for the longest time it was like the one gen that I, at least in being able to play, I couldn't access, because the first few gens you could play on the DS or the Virtual Console. I had some of those games.
Gotta get that Black 2. Collection don't mean nothing until you have Black 2, man.
Black 2 and White 2 are just more expensive.
They are very expensive. Like what, $150 for the card or something?
Yeah, like these completed box for Black and White, like the cost of just the cartridges for those games essentially are not much more expensive than those cartridges alone, which is crazy.
At one point, those were hitting almost like $250 complete in box, Black 2 and White 2.
They probably still are, because the games are about $150 to $200 just the cartridge alone.
Yeah, they might be. Yeah, it's crazy, the price of those, man. Crazy. I got a few things to show off here. I got this new PS5 controller. I thought it was
nice,
kind of cool.
What's the design from?
The Last of Us.
Okay, so it's a nice design from.
It's okay.
Trash game. Well, if it's part 2, it's trash. They should have just stopped with the first game, but
the end of 2 is pretty rough. Yeah.
The whole of 2 is rough.
I mean, I think the gameplay is fun and stuff. It's kind of like a Borderlands deal. It's like,
but it's a game that you play for the story. I think the story's terrible. So,
yeah, fair enough. I got this mostly because it's a easier way to test the systems and stuff. I really just got it for the Atari 7800. To be fair, I don't care about the 2600 much at all. I got a couple Atari things here to show actually, but it's the new controller, the CX78 Plus wireless controller. So it's a wireless controller. It popped up for $15. So I was like, I'll just snag it because it's like a $30 controller. So why not? Next, I got this collection, $10. I've been wanting to grab this. The only reason I grabbed it is Atari Jaguar and Lynx. Again, I don't care too much about the other stuff as much, but I do love the Atari Jaguar. It's got some games on here. It's $10 and it's a steel book. So it's pretty cool. Here's one game of the year material here. This was $10. I've had a lot of like friends I know play this, and they said it's like really good. I don't care about card games much, but again, it was $10, so I was like, I'll take a chance on it. Game of the year, Balatro.
Oh, Balatro. Bro, one of the physical
controversy on the on this podcast about that with the Game of the Year stuff there.
It's not the fact it's a bad game. I just Game of the Year contender. I think there were better games out there.
Yeah, but another Atari game. This like a, what would I call this? Like a reimagining, because it's like a whole new game with like actual characters and stuff. But Lunar Lander Beyond, got like an actual story and stuff. There's again $10, so I grabbed it.
Like at that price, it's, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's how I kind of thought of it. It was like, if I don't like it, whatever, I'll just throw it on the shelf. Not a big deal. Here's one I've been eyeballing, a Square Enix game. It popped up for $20. So it's Romancing Saga 2, a JRPG. Go and check out. I've seen 20 streams.
Yeah, for $20, you'll 100% get your time worth out of like any JRPG.
Oh, for sure. It's like, you know, you can get a good like 70 hours out of this game, I think.
Oh yeah,
from what I remember seeing. So, and then I got this one. This is probably one of the cooler things, along with the controller. Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered collection. Comes with like comes with a steelbook, map book, and original soundtrack. So
It's just nice to have.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a pretty cool collection. So
You just got to keep it sealed.
I'm gonna open it.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, I'm gonna play
Keep it sealed after I've like gone on the rants of like, yeah, man, why buy a game if you're not gonna play it?
Yeah, I'm not doing the sealed stuff no more. I kind of did that with the limited run stuff where I'd buy it digitally, and I was like, I'll buy it to own it too. But I kind of stopped doing that a while ago. So
A lot of stuff is just not gonna hold its value.
yeah. So I guess since we did the pickups, we'll go ahead and jump into other things. But there's a couple updates here to add that I've gotten while the podcast's been live. So I guess we'll be able to talk about some of this, but obviously we're going to be talking about a lot of Switch 2. So a lot of Switch 2 stuff happened. First of all, we got today the prices and everything for the Switch 2 accessories, the final price, what the console is going to cost, all of that stuff in a statement here. It's weird because if you look at Nintendo's social media, they didn't actually put this out themselves. This got pushed out.
This is all third party stuff. Nintendo's yet to like make a hard announcement. Their website still says May 8th.
It's crazy. Nintendo hasn't said a word, but this is confirmed. I mean, this is legit. This is everywhere. So what we got here is the Switch 2 is going to be the $450 still. The bundle is still going to be $500. Mario Kart World stays at $80. Donkey Kong Bonanza at $70. Switch 2 Pro Controller $85. It's pretty, I mean, controller is about $70-$80 now anyway, to be fair. So Joy-Con 2 pair $95. That one's oh my god. That one's brutal.
Controllers are expensive.
$95 for Joy-Cons. Whew. We got charging grip. The charging grip is $40. Joy-Con 2 strap $14.
Now, I just want to say, to be fair, most people aren't going to out the gate buy another pair of the Joy-Cons. You'd be better off just buying a Pro controller at that point.
Yeah, you buy the Joy-Con 2 pair and the charging grip.
Bro, you don't need it.
You don't need it.
A lot of the stuff you don't need, or there's going to eventually, outside of the actual Joy-Cons themselves, there's going to be third parties that are
people
better and cheaper.
I mean, I get the point of the charging grip. Like, I have a charging grip for my Switch 1. Like, I get the point of it.
I just plug them into the Switch when it's in dock.
Well, I got it when I bought the system, right? So like, I didn't really know yet.
But it's one of those things, like, you don't really need it because, like, if you at this point, like, if you're gonna have a second pair, you're just gonna get a regular Pro controller.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's what I'm gonna do now.
It's cheaper too. So like, why would you get unless you're replacing your Joy-Cons? There's no real need to buy a second pair of them.
Fair.
At least to me.
Mr. Coffee said, "Did you hear the latest patch for Marvel vs. Capcom has broken MVC1 massive frame rate issues and slowdown?" No, I did not see that. Actually, that's pretty crazy.
Of course it does.
Dang, that's a bummer. I did not hear that. I knew about the update coming out, but I didn't know it caused issues. Crazy. We got the Switch 2 camera, $55.
Considering that any old webcam will work, what's the point? You can get a $20 one from Walmart.
You mean it won't work? It should work, is what you're trying to say. It won't work on the Switch 2.
Most people don't need the camera anyways, so why bother spending money on that?
$120 for the dock set. That's wild too. Carrying case and screen protector, $40. This OEM one, or Nintendo one. Just get a third party.
All-in-one case. Like, I think everybody's talking about that. You don't need to spend like almost $90. I don't know. Like, a third parties are going to be like a third the price.
Yeah,
like $20-$30 for the same thing, and probably better quality on some of them too. They're probably still going to be cheaper, like $50 all-in-one case.
AC
adapter by third parties.
$35 for the AC adapter.
That's the USB-C. You could probably buy a third-party one of these.
That's the one thing I would say not to do. Actually, I would not recommend because it puts out the right voltages, wattages, and stuff like that it needs. Like, puts out the correct amount.
But to be fair, there's no need. Like, what are you doing? That are you destroying your original one that you bought that came with the Switch?
Yeah.
This is one of those things that you should.
If you got a dog or something like that, or a kid that's pulling on, I get what it's there for, Unless
you're buying like a second dock because you want to move it around, but most people aren't going to be buying that, or they're going to just wait to get a second one out the gate.
Yeah. And then the micro. So I will say this: the micro SD card express. I already ordered 1 TB. Spent a lot of money on it, but I'm getting out of the gate. I was able to pre-order. It's not even going to be here till May. It's so far pushed out. Kept going up for pre-order and selling out this particular brand. It was look at my phone here real
I
quick.
usually go with ScanDisk. It's a pretty reliable brand.
They are,
and
but
they're
the problem is that they I'll see
But
if
it's
I
not the
can
regular
find
micro, it's the
the
express card that you
Express.
need.
You need the Express card. So the problem with that is, so I'm going to show you a price comparison here. The one I bought was Alexa. I usually go SanDisk as well. I use it for all my EverDrives. I've got like 50 of them, literally, and they're flawless. I've never had an issue with a single one of them. SanDisk is great, and they're the ones that make the OEM Nintendo Switch 1 micro SD cards. The branded ones, those are just SanDisk cards. But what I went with, so here's like a little price comparison. This is for the 256 gigabyte. I got a 1 terabyte, but there's the Lexer one. Kept going up. The one selling out is a 1 terabyte. So that's what I ended up getting. But just like
it's not bad. Like
$30 off of that. When you get to 1 terabyte for the micro SD card Express, it's $220, keep in mind, for a 1 terabyte.
Yeah.
And that's for the cheaper option. So when you
get the
more expensive one, it's $300.
You tend to see an exponential rise in price with the size of the memory for a lot of stuff. So
yeah, and I think the prices. I mean, I can't say for sure now the way that text
because these cards are all the same. There's different storage
but
on them, so you get why it's harder to make a terabyte of something that small. So there's more work that has to.
Yeah, this is like
do more stuff, so it's why it's more expensive.
Alternative, like this is equivalent essentially to an SSD. The speeds are nearly the same.
But in a few years, it'll probably be far more affordable as the technology becomes more prevalent and stuff like that, and they've recouped like their R&D costs. But
just the way with that micro SD cards, I mean, the price dropped on those dramatically. The prices on SSDs had dropped
because more people get access to it. They've made back their investment money and stuff like that. And it's just it's one of those things like as technology becomes older, it just becomes cheaper.
Yeah.
Or as it's out there longer. Because you got to be fair, early adopters are paying essentially a tax to help these companies pay back the initial like costs that it cost them to make some of these devices.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's potential for the prices to go down. I
think they will eventually. It's one of those things where it's like I could see people like holding off, like especially if you don't plan on having a lot of games at launch for this. Hold off, maybe buy a smaller one and stuff like that out the gate, because it's probably going to take a while before you have a decent library where it's going to eat up that much space. Or it's one of those things where like sometimes I do, it's like I don't play this game at all. Why am I just going to have it eat up 10, 12, 20 gigs of space? Let me just delete it and stuff like that. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I was going to see if I could pull up this. Okay, here it is. I'll show this. So we got the Switch 2 pre-order timing. So obviously the pre-order announcement was the big thing I should have got to, but the pre-orders are going to happen on April 24th. So from this live video right now, it's roughly a week. It's 6 days away. Now, if you're listening on the audio, it could be a couple days away. If you're listening day one, it might have already happened, depending on when you're listening. Some people listen weeks later. So, this is going to be like very outdated news very quick, so I don't want to linger on it too much, but did want to say Walmart, we've got they're opening up pre-orders at 12 a.m. Gosh dang it, I hate these stores doing that. 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got GameStop at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so more reasonable there. 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Target. Best Buy, no info yet. And the big one that people are kind of shocked by is Amazon apparently won't be selling this at all, or get at least the pre-orders, won't be getting the pre-orders and stuff like that, which is obviously one of the biggest places for people to pre-order, on the internet, period. So that's pretty shocking, because that's where I would have bought it. That's where I would have went if I couldn't get it from Nintendo or whatever. We don't know what's going to happen there because their website's not updated. We don't know if we're going to get emails from them. Mark brought up, you said it said May 5th, right? For Nintendo?
May 8th, I'm pretty sure is what it still says. I can pull it up again. Because the other thing, Nintendo hasn't said anything about it, so there's no that's update on their stuff.
It's weird. Nintendo hasn't came out and actually said anything themselves about this as of the time of this recording, but it is very strange.
I was trying to figure out where it was.
Amazon not selling it at all, though. That'd be wild. That'd be really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it did say May 8th originally.
Sorry,
Yeah,
site's
no,
not
you're good.
pulling up what I wanted them to pull up.
But I mean, if they
Here
haven't,
it is.
said anything, it's kind of wild, man.
Because I can, so yeah, because you can see is this on their actual website where you did like the thing, you put your information in to try to get the invite pre-order. It still says May 8th is when they're sending out the batch. So hopefully they'll update this here in the next few days, or if they're really waiting until May 8th, that'd be crazy.
It'd be crazy because I'm not going to rely on it. I don't know if
they
it's
pre-ordered, and if you get access to this,
sign up for that.
Would you drop your current pre-order, or just nobody pre-order off this anymore? This is like the secondary backup option.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it as backup option personally. I'm not going to rely on it. I think we talked about it a little bit. I think we're both going to attempt to try for GameStop, like the lineup stuff, to be able to pre-order it. And that's what I did for Series X. It worked, and there were still a couple people there. But then the day of, they're like, release day, like, you ain't got no Switches for me. People were pissed, man, because they only got 2 in. There was a gigantic line, huge line, going stores back. And they only got 2 of them. And I was one of the 2 because I was there for the pre-order day. And people didn't understand that. They were there for the day that it came out. You know what I mean? But for this, it seems like they're trying to stock up like the GameStops and stuff like that. You said yours said how many they're going to get?
Because nothing hard official yet, but he was expecting, based off what some of the rumors, probably about 2 dozen or so.
Okay.
Doesn't know for sure. It could be more.
So they get 24 units for a store, roughly. Say, is that
well, the rumor was that it would average out to about 100 units for stores.
That's what I saw. Yeah,
but you would assume that means bigger metro stores are going to get more, and more rural stores are going to get less.
Yeah, for sure.
But that was just a rumor. There was like no hard information. It was just like a rumor that across every store it was about 100 a store was the rumor, and that the rumor was then you're assuming that that's going to average out, because you're not going to give like a rural store like 100 and like a major metro store like 100. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all. So yeah, I get it for sure.
But it's one of those things where it's like even places that are doing pre-orders and stuff like that, they still don't have they don't know how many they're going to get. So.
And then I did want to bring something up just quickly, just so I don't forget about it, to break up the news on the Switch 2 stuff. We'll get right back to it, but I wanted to show this. So I sent a mark today that I was worried about mine not shipping and stuff. Look at this for Lunar already selling for and this game is out today. Like, this is release day. So this is one of the weirdest launches I've ever seen in my life. The game is out today. You can buy it, but they didn't let you pre-order the game until the day it came out. Like, pre-orders went up today. Does that make any sense? Amazon only. Makes no sense. Amazon only. That's the only place you can buy this. Pre-orders today on release day. I've never heard of that in my life. But yeah, because of this, it says publisher has stated Lunar Remaster Collection will be reprinted and sold until demand runs out. Please do not double the price on eBay. For that price, you cannot just buy the digital version now, and then you can buy the disc cart version when it is restocked, or play something else for the time being. So
it's what I was saying, like, don't pay scalpers money. You'll be able to buy this eventually.
That's gonna get nowhere with people, because they obviously are. I mean, it's crazy. Came out.
Well, to be fair, like
out today, like,
if you're paying scalpers money, I think you're stupid.
Yeah,
that'd be a little harsh. Like, the only time I buy secondhand is for stuff that's out of print. Is the only time that makes sense. And then that's dictated by the market, what people are willing to pay for. Obviously, for like buying old games and stuff like that. This is like,
but for new stuff, come on, bro. Don't buy a PS5.
Yeah, I would never buy
PS5 is going for $900.
I'm not. You should never be that desperate. Just, it's kind of like the Switch 2. You don't get a launch, that's fine. It'll be in stock down the road. It's not like you don't have other stuff you can do while you wait for it to.
FOMO with people in 2025 is a real thing, apparently, because people paying.
I'm saying scalpers would disappear if people stopped needing it right now and they had a little bit of patience to wait for a restock to come in.
It's crazy.
outside of people like, actual developers that FOMO their own products intentionally.
Well, it's almost like what's going on here with this launch of this game. Because now I
Yeah,
told
what's
you,
going what's going on with the 5090 where they just intentionally just don't make enough of their product?
or they release one, you get a
Yeah,
notification.
that's
There's
intentional
one.
FOMO
They
that they
put
do.
one on Amazon for like 50,000 people that want to
It's like
get
they're
it.
encouraging
You know,
scalpers to make money off their product because they just refuse to just make enough when they release their product.
5090 is the only thing in my life where I've ever known that Amazon will put one unit, and you can see the number on there, how many units there are, like on it. So you know this is confirmed and it's gone immediately, right? They put one on Amazon for all these people that are trying to get it across the globe. And it's like, what are you doing, bro?
A
Like,
bot definitely grabbed it.
100% grabbed it. They got that notification from one of those trackers, whatever, it's gone right away.
They had a bot that was just constantly just waiting until it could click the button
Yeah,
to just buy it.
I mean, I've seen how some of these two, how some of those like programs in other countries work for people that are like buying followers or whatever on social media, and how they have all the phones lined up. Have you ever seen those setups
Yeah.
for those people?
It's crazy.
Crazy, man. I
And it's
hadn't
not
seen
like
it
you
before
can't
until
they
last
can't
week.
actively combat they places like Amazon could put steps in place to stop that. They just don't.
They
Because they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care. These guys don't
It's
care
not
if
like you would
get what
stop
you
the
want.
scalping, but the botting you could definitely put a dent in it. You could actively combat it.
I don't get artificial scarcity and stuff like that. I don't quite understand how it ends up serving a purpose for the people selling it. It seems like
It's
if
all
the
about
demand
perception.
is
So people
much,
that are you want people constantly wanting to look and buy for your product, so they buy it immediately. And it
it's just weird.
boosts
It's a
boosts
weird
you. It
way.
artificially boosts sales and stuff like that. And you can be like, "Oh, look, we're constantly sold out." You can sell that to your investors, and it's like a whole thing and of why certain companies choose to do it in certain ways and stuff like that. I don't
It's
think it always
wild.
pans out, but I can understand why companies would want to push FOMO.
Nintendo with the Alarmo. Like, bro, you guys are paying $150 for an alarm clock on eBay. Like, come on, bro.
I have a phone,
Get
right?
smart.
I got a
Get
clock right
smart,
here.
people. Get smart. Don't
I already
do
spent
the
like
silly
$2,000
thing.
on my phone or however much that actually cost, $1,500.
Yeah,
And it's got an alarm in it. Why do I need a second one?
yeah, for sure. But yeah, no. So since seems like Amazon's skipping it. I mean, there are some of these other places to try to get Switch 2 and stuff, but we also got the Mario Kart World Direct happen. Mark skipped out on me on this. So did you end up watching the 15-minute direct?
I hadn't had a chance to go back and pull
Bro,
it up.
yeah, well, it's 15 minutes.
I'm sorry.
can't
We're
really
we're
talk
gonna
to you
we're gonna
about
talk
it.
about it now. So
Well, I mean, it's hard to, it's hard to talk about it. You skipped out on me, bro.
doesn't mean I can't like know what's going on with it if we talk about stuff.
I don't know, I'm just messing with you. But we got so say this is essentially an open world game. You freely drive between the racetracks and stuff like that. So they showed some of that off, like the free roam stuff. The map is pretty freaking big. It's a lot bigger than I expected it to be. But I'll say this before we like get into the details of this. The direct kind of sucked because it's like half of the stuff we already knew was going to be there. It's Mario Kart. Like we knew it was going to happen. The other half of the stuff is like, oh, okay, cool. You're showing a couple other characters. You got the free roam stuff. But are you really justifying the $80 price tag per se? I don't
They are.
necessarily. I don't.
They are by saying we're charging $80 for it. So in our mind, it's justified.
Yeah, I mean they're justifying it to themselves, but it's like, did you justify it to the consumer? I don't think they necessarily did, especially.
I think there's enough people
too.
that won't care and will buy it, and I'm sure they'll put it on
No,
a
they'll
sale.
buy
And
it.
stuff
I mean,
like that.
I'm getting it too. I'm going to try to get the bundle. So, like, that's the way to go if you can. And that's only going to be, by the way, for everybody, this is only going to be produced until the end of this year. And they said no more Mario Kart World bundles. So, will only be sold separately after that, which makes sense because all the bundles they do are limited, for a certain period of time or whatever. And then
Yeah,
they
it helps.
move to
It
the
helps.
next bundle.
You both things are benefiting off of it. It's the idea for a short time we're going to sell one for less to encourage you to pay for this one thing.
Yeah. And obviously that's going to be the way to go if you want to
And
get.
it's their one main multiplayer game at launch. They want as many people on this game as possible.
Yeah. Look at that map, though. That map, you look right there. That's a pretty freaking big map for a racing game, man.
I'm hoping we get more content, but like old tracks that just expand the actual world for DLC, maybe. I guess
like
we'll have to wait and
this is
see.
pretty cool. Where it's like showing some of the stuff there that was cool, but to me, it was one of those things where the 15 minutes, they didn't take advantage of the 15 minutes. I feel like half of it was just stuff we already knew.
It's just like it's a more in-depth look was really all it was. A short.
Yeah. Oh, Mark froze there, but
It'll be one of those things. It's gonna be hard to tell until you actually get it in hand.
yeah.
Is this idea that they're doing working out? And the idea is it might be one of those games where like the game it is at launch, and then when they eventually like resale it as a complete edition when all the DLCs pushed out, could be a very different game, as in the amount of content. Like this game maybe right now might not be worth the $80, but in like 4 years, 5 years, with the amount of added content, it might be worth the $80, even if they're not selling at that price tag anymore.
The one thing that sucks about
It's
the
one of those
model,
things.
if you care about it, is that it's obviously digital only. So
It's probably
you
going to
only
be like the
get full game.
best. Well, it's largely an online game for like not all of it, but largely this is what this is.
It's an
going to be.
offline game though. It's got complete offline mode.
No, but let's be
Wireless
fair. A
mode.
lot of people that play Mario Kart, you end up playing it online.
Yeah, but I want to have
A
physical
good portion
copy
of like,
Mario.
if you're putting over 100 hours in this game, the bulk of that's going to be online play.
Nicholas said, of course they justify $80. They brought the drive-through into it. The drive-through was pretty funny stuff. Yeah, you could like go through the drive-through and pick up items, and then you'd have like Japanese costumes for all your characters. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. I've always wanted to pick up a Big Mac while driving through Mario Speedway.
My hope is that I'm just curious how they're going to handle deal. There's no way they're not going to do DLC.
They're going to add an expansion where you're going to have an island, so they're going to have Super Mario Sunshine.
That might make more sense for like the retro
Island
stuff or older games where it's just it'd be nice if it's one giant map, but kind of like they do with Pokemon. It's just a different map, essentially that you travel to.
Different,
but like I'd like to see all the Super Mario Kart games in their own little world, or all the Wii tracks in their own separate world. I'd be happy with content like that.
Did you see the Super Mario Kart poster where they're all lined up next to?
Oh yeah, I did see that. There was a nice little call.
Yeah.
Like I'm hoping that's more than just a callback. Like actually do some.
That was pretty cool.
Some work with those tracks, but it was neat that they're calling back to their old stuff with all the the only one that wasn't the same character was Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong. It was what Donkey Kong Jr.
Yeah.
Game.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. It was like, oh, I saw Andre put out it's been on the podcast a few times, Game Explain. He's like, oh, so this confirmed Donkey Kong Jr. are the same person? He put out a tweet.
They're different people. He's just not. They won't bring him back for whatever reason.
Yeah, I know. What are they doing with him, man? Come on, bring back the Donkey Kong family. But why are they not some of the racers? Like, well, what's going on here? Why can't we place Cranky Kong driving
those drivers?
Cranky Kong driving a what you call it, the old people things.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of what it's called.
Like,
but to be fair, this is one of those things where it's just like if there's one thing I actually miss, it's like the original. If you've ever played the original Super Mario Kart, I really like the soundtracks in that game. Like, it's really one thing that I think it's got one of the more superior soundtracks for the characters, especially I really like the old ending screens and stuff like that, where it would do the whole list, but you have like in order how you finish the actual 8 races is like just drive along. They each have like their own theme and stuff like that plays, and it's still in some of the other games. It's just not as as nostalgic to me. Some of it's nostalgic. I'll still go back and play it, and be like, oh man, these controls are rough to go back to. And some of the course designs are leave a lot to be desired, obviously, but there's just something about the original Mario Kart that I found I still to this day find charming to want to go back and play. But I mean, some of the remastered courses just don't have the same feel as it's just a title screen with who finished where, not like actual proper background animations going on. Yeah, it feels like they've gotten lazier in some aspects of the newer games.
It's a new
game. I guess the idea is in some from the Wii era and younger and older, felt like some of the aspects of those games had a little bit more personality and charm, where it was kind of sucked out in some of the other games and stuff like that, especially in 8, which is still a fun game and I still enjoy it, but there's just aspects of the game where it just feels like it's just more kind of soulless at times with some of the design of the actual game.
I get that.
But you can still find fun in it. It's just one of those small little things where some aspects of it you find the soul. Some aspects like this part of this game feels soulless. Like you could put more personality into this. It wouldn't kill you. You've made enough money off these games. You could have this entire game dripping with personality and just make it a very memorable experience, top to bottom.
Fair enough. I get what you're saying.
If that makes sense to a lot of people, because it's one of those things. Like, it's how many games do you think like the results list is like memorable that you still remember it, like 2 decades, 3 decades later?
Yeah.
And Super Mario Kart's one of those games where even that screen I still remember to this day.
Mario Kart 64,
Yeah.
to finish of a race, like even going back, further.
Super Mario Kart's like probably one of the most, outside of the DS game, in Mario Kart.
Oh yeah, DS for
Plus,
sure.
that I have like the most playtime in. So it's one of those ones where it's like the most recognizable because I played the crap out of that growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have because growing up until Mario Kart DS, I didn't really play a whole lot of the games in between until DS, and then obviously with Wii as well. But
yeah, it was Super Circuit because you like the original so much. That's like a direct.
I didn't have. I played 64 and I didn't play Super Circuit, but I played to the Mario Kart 64, but never owned it though. So it was like you
Don't
only
you own
had
it now?
so much to play it. Yeah, I own it now.
Yeah. It's
But
fun, man.
it's not the same as like that's like the main game, one or two main consoles you're playing as a kid all the time.
Fair enough. I get what you're saying. I still think I had the most playtime in DS for sure. I had hundreds of hours in that game.
It's hard at this point. It's hard to tell because those you didn't track the hours, so you're just kind of guessing.
Well, that had an hour tracker, and I don't remember the exact number.
Well, the problem is like I reset my game once or twice.
In it.
Like I have reset the game at one point, so it's
why would you do that? Why would you want to?
I want to like as a grown up,
lose your ghost data, and
I didn't really do that. Like the time trial is never something I've been super into, but you just want to like re-unlock everything again.
We getting the Joy-Con wheels there for the?
Not such a waste of time. I'm gonna play this on an actual pro controller. As needed was one with the Wii to use the controller. The only reason the actual controller worked with the Wii is because it worked with the bikes to wheelie. At large, I'd still play. I still prefer to play a racing game with a pro controller.
Look at that drive-through, Yoshi. Oh, Yoshi's Cafe. Look at that, picking up a hamburger.
Eating and driving.
Yeah, isn't that illegal? It's illegal in some states.
I'm sure it is. It's annoying. If you ever try to eat like a cheeseburger while you drive, it's such a hassle. It's not worth the effort.
But I still do it. You get hungry, I do too.
Like it's easier to pull over.
Look at the Japanese costumes. That just seems.
I do like the Yakutas and stuff like that. And this might be controversial. I like that we're not getting the full customization. It just kind of felt pointless, especially at online high level play, because everyone used like the same like 2 cart setup. And to be fair, like a lot of the time it was kind of tedious, and you really wouldn't pay a lot of attention to it. I think it was just too time consuming. I would prefer just to pick a cart. Like this isn't like a competitive game to me. This is a party game.
Mario Kart DS, you make your symbol, and you don't want to make that.
That has nothing to do with like the actual parts would like affect certain performance.
Yeah,
but at large, you just wouldn't really think too much about it. You just do some basics and be like, all right, I don't really care. Like maybe some of the competitive people might not like it, but it's like a party game. You're just playing this just to play a racing game. It's just I never cared about the car setup.
Look at that
never looked into it. So
right in front of a truck too. That's a little dangerous. Wow. Yeah,
I do like that we're they're continuing with the design of like not being stuck to like the 2D surface and getting creative.
I do like the flying and the different stuff there, because like Mario Kart 7 brought in the hover or not the glider. So like we
as they introduce new stuff, it remains a staple.
Yeah, we still have 2 double dash mechanics going on, but
that's one of those weird things though. Like you'd have to like have a whole mode dedicated to it. Like that's the problem. Double dash is unique, but it's hard to like have some stuff in this game be double dash and other stuff not. Like you have to have a whole mode. Like that's the problem. I do wish they would bring back a mode for double dash. Like I don't think it would be that hard, but it does.
I wish we just get straight up battle mode, man. Like bring battle mode back for
proper battle mode, proper like mission mode and stuff like that.
Dude, battle mode was so much fun, man. I played.
I just added a lot of time to the game, computers and stuff like that. Because a lot of what battle mode could help you to do is just learn how to like learn certain mechanics of the game.
Yeah, you got better at the game in general. Yeah,
I mean, learn how to do things because you'd have to do it to complete certain missions.
Well,
or if you're like me and it required you to drive backwards and you were forever just trash at driving backwards, you're like, I don't know, when am I ever going to do this in an actual game?
Yeah. But the tracks we got confirmed are Mario Bros. Circuit, Crown City, Salty Speedway, Starview Peak, Boo Cinema, Whistletop Summit, TK Spaceport, Faraway Oasis, Peach Stadium, and then they obviously teased Rainbow Road, but we didn't get to see it. Let's see what new items. New items: coin shell, ice flower, hammer, mega mushroom from New Super Mario Brothers, feather, and Kamek. The modes we got are Grand Prix, Knockout Tour, Free Roam, and Oh, wait, this says have battle mode. In battle mode, you try to collect the most. Oh, it's not the same thing though. Try to collect the most coins. Coin runner
That's
or
not
burst.
a battle mode. Is you have the 3 balloons and stuff like that. Yeah,
Well, wait. This says you do burst balloons in balloon battle to knock.
Well, you know what they
players
can
out.
never bring back with the balloon is what they used to do on the DS, where you had to blow into the mic to
Yeah.
like read your balloons. Like,
Yeah.
they don't have that little mic that could do that anymore.
I
That was
mean,
one of
they
those things that's
could.
like neat.
It does have a microphone. Like they could do it, but you know, are they going to do it? Nah, it's too much effort for them.
It would need to be on all the controllers, though. Like in any way to play it.
I still can't figure out what the redesign of Donkey Kong is for exactly. Why only him?
Just to match the new movie version of him.
Yeah, but nobody else matches in the game. I mean, why is it just him? Nobody else has the movie design. None of
well, I'll say this, and you kind of see it.
I love it.
I hope they go into it, but like so if you ever played a game, is with both an arcade game. But I played it on the 64 Rush. You ever played Rush 2049? Or I'm sure a lot of games are very similar.
San Francisco.
So like this is it's like San Francisco Rush 2049. It's like a futuristic San Francisco essentially. Yep. But because it was one of those games where you would race, but essentially you could just do like a free mode on all the tracks. And so you hitting certain mileages in that game would unlock new stuff, kind of like this with the coins. You do so many coins or whatever, you unlock new car parts essentially. Or you unlock new cars. I don't know how it's going to work on this one. But it also had stuff where there was like on both the stunt mode and on a lot of those courses, you'd have like 2 different types of coins, like a gold and silver coin that you'd have to go and collect to unlock new content. But you'd use the free mode to like figure out where they're at. And even if you knew where a coin was at, you had to like figure out how to get there. And certain vehicles could do stuff better and stuff like that. So I was starting to get that feeling from the open world that there's whether it's coins or just other stuff that you can find. Like there's a reason to play the open world to like collect these coins to get access to stuff that you can only get by doing this. And
there's going to be an incentive.
It reminded me of Rush 2049, where it kind of had that aspect where you could unlock stuff playing in free mode.
What's cool is you can do free roam with friends online. So that was one of the cool things they showed off in this, where you could actually free roam with your friends. So it's like, there's going to be an incentive for you to collect stuff and unlock stuff doing the free roam. And you can actually go online with your friends so you can race to the next race with your friends in a race, if that makes any sense at all. So like on free roam, so you could do like 3 races and you race to the race.
And I'm sure
a full gigantic race, And
I'm sure the games, as far as like the collecting stuff and a forward, I don't know if it's been done in some other racing games because I don't play a whole lot of them, but it's crazy. Like, man, this game is finally using something that I haven't seen since like when this game came out in '99. A concept that's like 25 years old finally is coming back. At least in a game that I've played.
I think it's definitely stuff that's done it. Like Need for Speed Most Wanted, it's got the open world stuff. Forza,
but you would just drive to different challenges and races. Essentially, is what that would do for you. Or you would like evade the police for whatever you had to do for money.
Oh, there's
there's the actual one. Do they have it with not that stuff on the left? Yeah, there you go. Because this is what I saw. Like the only one that doesn't match because it's not DK, it's DK Jr.
Yeah,
it's crazy. You went from an 8 player lineup, and I think
it's crazy.
Well, Donkey Kong Jr.'s never come back, and I'm pretty sure the little Toad guy, he's not been in every game. He's been cut a few times. Yeah, the Koopa's not been in every game. I thought Koopa and maybe I don't know.
He's not in Super Circuit. I don't think he's in DS either, right?
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. It's been a long time since I played.
I think he was the other one that has come back, but it wasn't in every one, and we just never have gotten DK Jr. ever back. I don't know why he can't come back. I mean, I get he's essentially he was supposed to be Donkey Kong, but for whatever reason they couldn't put him in. There's a reason
it was a rare thing at the time, right? It didn't have something to do with rare.
There was stuff going on. And
I think that's why they ultimately redesigned him, was the rare thing. I don't think it had anything to do with the movie, realistically.
Actually, I think you're right, because Rare's DK came out not long after Super Mario Kart came out, so it's probably a thing of like, oh, this is a new character, so we're just gonna replace him because we're not using DK Jr. anymore.
I think it had something to do with Rare is why they redesigned. It's kind of weird. Like, hey, let's take.
It's not the first time he's been redesigned. He was redesigned all the way back in the 90s. So
Yeah, I mean Mario was too a little bit, to be fair, but yeah,
yeah,
it is.
they've all gone through design changes and stuff.
But it's a little off-putting a little bit for me. But that's what we got for Mario Kart. So there's showing the free run with friends. Oh, there's okay.
Oh, yeah,
So yeah, how did I
got-
watch it live and I must have missed that? I don't
I'm
remember seeing it.
Regardless of how much it's changed,
can't
I don't know.
remember everything.
It's changed a lot. If you've ever played it on the SNES.
Oh, I thought this was interesting with the cameras. So these faces are live, like live reactions while you're racing. So it's an interesting concept. You know
I
how
don't
many
think it was
people
never
take
really
advantage
good,
of it,
but-
but look, it's got like the face tracking. So it actually like shows your faces live above them. It's kind of cool. Like if you're actually playing with friends.
It's one of those things. In concept, it's cool, but in practicality, I don't know.
Like how often are you going to use it? Yeah.
Like never.
Yeah, and you got to be doing it with friends. So, but it is a neat little thing. But
finally getting a rolling start for a race for once, and it's not just a static start.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for the game. Still not too happy about the price.
I think it'll
tag
be a fun
stuff.
game, and the hope
It'll
is
be
as
fun. I mean,
as
there's
the
no
years
Mario
goes on-
Kart I played that I haven't enjoyed. To be fair, none of them I played I haven't enjoyed. But
I want to be hopeful that we eventually get some good DLC of the retro, like new tracks and retro tracks coming to this world. Is like your old game tracks as one game in a new like island world and stuff like that. Like I want to see that concept. If we're going this far for this game, go for it all together.
yeah.
Stuff like that.
And Nicholas said it's kind of weird. DK Jr.'s not back giving. We have a full daycare's worth of babies in this one.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
like at that point it's just another skin. You do it for all these other characters. Why not for Dunk?
Yeah, I don't know
DK
what.
Jr. skin.
We bring him back, man. Bring back DK.
All he
Jr.
did- all
I
he's wearing
see
is a-
bringing
is a-
more
is
of
a
the
wife
Donkey
beater,
Kong
so.
characters. Yeah, exactly.
That's all it
bring-
was. The tank top.
I say bring more of those Cranky Kong, Diddy well obviously Diddy Kong, but some of the other characters, Candy Kong, stuff like that. It'd be cool to see some of those guys in it. But
Just put
because
all
of
of
the rare
Diddy Kong
thing-
racing as a separate mode in this game. Like just
I mean
just
that's
do
what
that already.
so to be fair, that's pretty much what they're doing with this game is taking
Just
the
bring
Diddy
whole
Kong
DK
racing
in and stuff.
concept. They're
You just
taking
have
the
to look
story
at-
mode type deal,
Yeah.
the free roam story mode. It's like, hey, let's do this for Mario. Mario Kart's not gonna have a story mode, but it would be cool.
It would be as bad as what they did for their tennis game. I wouldn't recommend it, but which means it just
Which
doesn't
one? Because
exist.
there's some good ones where they're RPGs. Like you ever played Mario Tennis on Game Boy Color?
Yeah, but what's
It's
the
an
most recent one?
RPG.
The recent one for the Switch was
The Ace one, yeah, that was
Yeah.
it was really bad.
the problem is all their sports games peaked on the GameCube and the Wii, and it's just been downhill.
I think that's kind of the truth, and it kind of.
When are we getting a new Mario Baseball? We have the
like
one
the Mario
game on
Soccer
GameCube,
launch was really
and it's-
bad. There was no content on it.
The Mario Baseball on the Wii is on the Wii, but on the GameCube is such a good game, and they
It really is.
used to give us another Mario Baseball game.
Give us Mario Sluggers back, man. That was good stuff. I love that game. Yeah,
It's baseball, but with a Mario spin on it.
Yeah, there's not much to it. It's fun.
It's still
It's like a party
Yeah,
baseball game.
yeah. Like it's not that many modes of that game, but it's just a fun Mario spin on baseball with Mario characters. And
It's
Mario.
not a $10 million concept, But yeah, I'm pretty excited for Mario Kart World. It'll be cool. Still not excited about the price, but it's there. It is what it is, I guess. Next we got which you sent me this week, and I think we're both kind of excited for it. I'm very skeptical of it.
I've
Like
never
I
beaten
don't.
this game.
It's very fun, man. I'll definitely be playing.
I
this.
think my Steam library has under 3 hours on this game.
Really?
Yeah.
Why so few? Like what was the problem?
I
for you,
never
do you
just never
think?
got around to picking it up, but it's one of those games where it's just like it was in that
Is it
era
you
where
just didn't
3D
get to it, or you couldn't play it?
it's not that I couldn't get to it because I own it now on Steam, but it's one of those games where it's just like if you don't have the nostalgia for it, it's that early to mid 3D esque era in the 360 era, like the early 360 era, where it was just like games were like all over the place on their quality of like how are they good or are they kind of like it was good at the time, but like 10, 20 years later, it's aged god awfully terrible. I think this is on the latter side where it's one of those games for what it is. It's just not aged the best in a lot of mechanical aspects, and you can see a lot of issues with it now. If that makes any sense to you?
No, it makes sense. I don't think
It's
to
just that,
me that it just
let's
never
be
felt
fair,
like one like that.
early 360 era, late 360 era, there's a huge
There's a big jump.
discrepancy on quality of games, and it has that weird
So
graphical style that's iconic, but like is very obviously dated, but not in a good way. If
I'm
you
like
ask,
very opposite of you, where I put like no time into Skyrim because I couldn't get into it, but Morrowind
Skyrim
and
was also my
Oblivion, I
first Elder
played
Scrolls game, so
tons of hours into those games.
but that's the problem. Like
Skyrim,
I never,
I have owned it 15 million times, and I still have probably put less than 50 hours into the whole game, the game as a whole. Like
yeah,
I
I think it's
played
one of those
so
things
little
where
Skyrim.
yeah, I Skyrim on the because Skyrim was technically on the 360, but back half of the 360
Yeah,
was my first game that I played. The 360 version was the first version I played of that game. So this feels, in a lot of aspects, while there's more you can do gameplay wise, the actual mechanics in a lot of ways feel more dated than Skyrim.
yeah,
So
that's fair.
I don't want to say Skyrim. I've got more nostalgia for it because I can go back and play it now, and plays just fine for me. But this is the game that I don't have the nostalgia for. I look at it now of like as that early 360 era that it's like has a lot of problems with it. If that
That's
makes sense
fair.
to some people.
Yeah,
This is that era where the 3D was coming in its own, but it still had a whole lot of issues before it was like kind of universally ironed out and stuff like that. And the graphical stuff I can get over, but some of the mechanical stuff is kind of like not the best if you ask me. I think that it's kind of janky in a lot of ways if you're not nostalgia for it.
but hey,
But
horse armor, right? Am I right?
oh
Horse
yeah,
armor.
the infamous horse armor.
Yeah, no, I mean this is cool though that they're remastering it because I think it was rumored, but it was like one of those things. Are they actually going to do it? Is that really going to come out?
And
But
then a accidental leak comes out, and then we pretty
yeah,
much have hard proof that this game exists now. Because some of the screenshots of this game. This definitely looks like essentially like a menu or a website for the game.
yeah.
And the rumor was, and I can kind of start to believe it, that it was in Unreal Engine. I guess I can make this a little bit bigger, see it better. So this is one of the ones that you see, obviously, on the left is the original graphics, on the right is the remake, and I can kind of see that if they came out and said this was made in Unreal Engine, I could be like, yeah, I can see it.
So right here is a great point to bring out where I'm like, what changes are they going to make? Because they'll get character design for her, right? Like that's
Yeah.
very clearly changed. It's a change design.
To some, I think it looks because this looks
It
more
looks
like what we
similar,
lined
but it's
up
not the
with
same.
Skyrim. It's less erotic if you want to go that route, but I mean, it's not 2006 anymore when they were making when this game came out.
But yeah,
So
I mean,
like graphically, it looks good. The idea is, well, how does it play? How does it run? Did they change core gameplay elements? Does it still? Did they just fix and make the gameplay more smooth, or did they actually wholesale completely fix it? Because this is also the first game that they didn't use like a dice roll mechanic as far as like your hit encounters. Where in the first 3 games it was kind of like a swing and hit, but it's not like guarantee you would actually hit. You could just straight up miss because it's using like a D&D mechanic behind the scenes.
So one of the things that has me a little concerned is you look at that bottom screenshot of the game, and it looks really. It doesn't look as much like a video game to me, if that makes any sense. It looks
I can
a
see the
lot
pros and cons.
more, just not like it has no style to it, if that makes any sense. Like you took all the style out of the game.
But some of the style could also be like it's they were far more limited back then. I don't know who's actually working on this and making the actual remaster. Could go into it.
Well, isn't it Virtuosos or whatever that we had on key art?
Oh yeah, so it's not actual them. It's Virtuosos doing that. Yeah, you're right. So it's one of those things where it's just like they're probably putting their spin on some of the graphical touches.
I'm very skeptical because of the UE5 stuff. I think Unreal Engine 5 has a lot of problems. I'm not impressed by any game that comes out using it.
I still prefer their actual in-house engine, not Unreal 5.
Yeah.
And you can see some of the other stuff. Like these are just screenshots. You don't actually
it looks good. Like graphically.
And I've seen some people say it, and I saw Mr. Coffee where it kind of feels kind of like bland fantasy. But like let's be fair.
That's how I feel.
Oblivion was always built and this is kind of like a Elder Scrolls as a whole, but like Oblivion was always designed in a I don't want to say bland, but a traditional high fantasy, high European fantasy, which is what high fantasy is. And that's kind of how the
I
original
think
game
it's got a lot of
was
style
designed.
to it. I think it has its own style.
It does, but it's very
Oblivion.
obviously just using regular high fantasy designs for all of its
Yeah,
buildings.
but you think Skyrim isn't? You think
Well, no,
Skyrim's like super
it
original?
is, but Skyrim also isn't set in it's more of a Nordic environment, less of a European. When you think traditional, uh, what is it, high
Medieval
fantasy?
fantasy. Yeah.
Traditional high fantasy is like European fantasy, where
Mhm.
Skyrim still has that high fantasy, but Nordic isn't traditional high fantasy as far as like a lot of the buildings. It has a Nordic spin on high fantasy. Let's be fair, like Elder Scrolls, it's like it uses high fantasy essentially as its core element, but like if it makes sense, it's got a slightly different spin on it, which is why you see the different designs where this is more imperial high fantasy, European high fantasy, where that's has the other spin on it. I'm repeating myself, but I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I guess it'd be interesting to see what happens. And
There's some other. It was on a different tab.
it's supposed to come out like next week, right? According
That
to the
that
leak.
was all the rumor essentially. So we still had that. There's some
Especially
other
a
stuff
Game
like
Pass drop right away. So that's where I'll play it first. And if it gets a physical and I like it, then I'll end up grabbing it. But
and I'll say this because I assume it's not going to change. There is the other side of it where you still like at least on Steam and I assume on a lot of marketplaces, the original version of Oblivion still exists.
yeah,
So you could still go back and play like it's one of those things where it's like if you're going to do a remake, you have the original version, and you have the remake. So like you don't. It's nice to have the option there, but if you want to go back and play the original, I like having that both options available because some
me
people are
too.
going to prefer the original. Some people that have never played this game before might prefer to go with the remaster and then try the original and figure out what they like at the end of the day. I don't mind I don't mind having both options. If they were only going to give us the remaster, I think that would be a problem. But as long as the original version of this game is still available, I have less of an issue if they make drastic changes because if it fails, it fails. You can just go back and play how the old game played, and it all works out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
And I
I
get
think
it.
we'll
Like
both
a lot
check
of
it
people
out.
are a lot of people that grew up playing the original. I'm not one of them because I didn't play the original until I bought it on Steam a few years ago. Are gonna prefer that style compared to the remake, where somebody that's never touched the original. Well, this is probably going to be the easiest, most accessible way to play it because it'll probably play like a lot of more modern games now than 2000s game essentially. So it's easier to get into the game. I would say at the very least, hopefully the story remains the same, and hopefully a lot of the voice acting, like it wouldn't like it's not the Emperor if you don't have uh I'm blanking on his name, but essentially Picard voice acting the Emperor. So hopefully a lot of the voice acting is still the same, or they just ripped it from the original.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
But
Um,
I can see pros and cons for remake, even if it's not one for one or it's got issues. It's going to bring a lot more people that might not have even looked twice. They see the original game like, oh, that's a 20-year-old game. I'm not touching that because
yeah,
let's be fair, there's a lot of people that think that way, especially like younger people now. So like having a older game designed in a modern format can bring more people into it, and then hopefully then you can push them to playing the older games. Or at the very least, they just have more access. You bring more people into your hobby that hopefully enjoy it.
yeah,
Because like, let's be fair, I'm also like I don't have a problem with the original Oblivion, but I'm sorry, and this will be controversial to some people. I cannot stand the gameplay for Elder Scrolls 3, Morrowind. I think
oh,
God, it has aged one of the worst aged games. I think the first 3 games have aged poorly. Not the design of the game and the story of Morrowind. I think the combat is